Hello, welcome to part 2 of our exam 1 review. This time we're going to be talking about percents and unit conversions. Okay. The first problem is that you basically have something you're going to buy and you have taxes on it. So it asks how much are the taxes. The very first thing we need to do is say, okay, well, we know the tax is 7%. How can we do math with a percent? Well, we have to change a percent into a decimal. So 7% as a decimal. What we do is we pretend there's a decimal after the 7. Then we move it 2 spaces to the left. And add a 0. So 7% as a decimal is 0.07. Now the reason we do that is so that we can take that number and do math with it. So if our tax is 7%, we bought a bike for $104.60. To find what 7% of that is, we multiply by our 0.07. So here we have multiplication of decimals. I'm just going to take that 7 and multiply by all the numbers up here. So 7 times 0, 0. 7 times 6 is 42. Carry the 4 up here. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 4 more is 32. 7 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3, and then 7 times 1 is 7. Now I have to count the decimals that are in my problem. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal spaces in my problem, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places in my answer as well. So my taxes are $7.32. Okay, so it also wants to know what the total cost is. So if we add our taxes onto the total cost, we do 104.60 plus our taxes was 732. And notice how I lined up the decimals. We're going to add straight down. 0 plus 2, 6 plus 3 is 9. Bring the decimal straight down. 7 plus 4 is 11. And 0 plus 1 is 1. And 1. So our total cost is $111.92. So excuse my handwriting there. This is kind of a new thing I'm trying out, but hopefully you can read. Okay, the next part we kind of already talked about a little bit, but we're writing a percent as a decimal. So when we have a percent, we write down where the decimal would be in that number. If it doesn't have a decimal, you write it at the end. And then you move it over 2 spaces to the left. And therefore, our percent, 45%, is 0.45 as a decimal. I don't know why it keeps erasing my decimal, but there we go. Okay. These next 2 problems are going to get a little harder. They're the unit conversions. So this one says I ran 3 kilometers per hour. How many meters per second is that? And we want to round to the nearest 100th. Okay. So the very first thing I like to do is write down what we know. We know that I ran 3 kilometers per hour. So when I hear the word per, I make it a fraction. And on the bottom I put 1 hour. So that's what I start out with. I start out with kilometers and an hour. And then I ask myself, okay, what do I want to end with? I want to end with meters per second. So meters on top and seconds on the bottom. Now my goal is to get from over here, kilometers per hour, to meters per second. So what do we have that's different? Well, we have kilometers and we want meters. So let's try to change kilometers into meters. What do we know about kilometers and meters? Well, I know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. Notice how I put the kilometers in the bottom? That's because when we multiply across, they're going to be ending up canceling. So if you want something to cancel, one has to be on top and one has to be on the bottom. So that will cancel the kilometers and we'll be left with meters, which is what we wanted on the top. Okay, these are being multiplied in between here. Now I have hours on the bottom still and I want seconds. So I'm going to say, well, I know that 1 hour, notice how I'm putting on the top to cancel with that 1 hour on the bottom. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So those hours will cancel. But now I have minutes and I want seconds. So I have to do one more step. I have to say, well, I know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. And so this minute will cancel with this minute. And now I have all these numbers left. I have 3 times 1,000 and times 1 times 1. We don't need to write that. And on the bottom we have 60 times 60. And it will be meters per second. Okay, let's simplify that. 3 times 1,000 is 3,000. And 60 times 60, well, 6 times 6 is 36. And then 2 zeros. Okay, now both of them have 2 zeros on the end. I can divide them both by 100. These zeros will cancel out. So that will be 30 over 36. Simplify it even more. I'll divide by 3 to get 10 over 12. Even more, I'll divide by 2 to get 5/6. Now 5/6 is a fraction and it asks us to round it to the nearest hundredth. So then you have to take this fraction and make it into a decimal. So 5 divided by, 5 goes under the division bar, 6. How many times does 6 go into 5? It doesn't. So we're going to have to add a decimal and a 0. How many times does 6 go into 50? 8 times. 6 times 8 is 48. Subtract gives you 2. Bring down the next 0. 6 into 20 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Again, you have a 2. You can add another 0. 6 into 20. 3 again. And you could keep going on like that forever, but we only want hundredths. Notice the decimal comes straight up right here. And so we have, for the final answer, 0.8, we're rounding to hundredths, so we're rounding to this number, 83 meters per second. A little more tricky. It says a microwave uses about 900 watts of power. If the power company charges 8 cents per kilowatt hour, how much does it cost to run a dishwasher for 12 hours? Well, here's what we know. Let's write down this first. We know that our microwave uses 900 watts. Okay, then it says a power company charges 8 cents per kilowatt hour. So we know we need to change this watts into kilowatts somehow. So let's start with that step. I'm going to do times 1 kilowatt. Now the K, kilo, is 1,000, equals 1,000 watts. Okay, so that's how I cancel this watts with that watts. Now I just have kilowatts, but I want kilowatt hours. So how many hours did I run this? Well, I ran that dishwasher for 12 hours. So I'm going to do times 12 hours. Now I have a kilowatt hour. Finally, what do I want? I just want money. I just want, in the end, how many dollars and cents it is. So I need to somehow cancel out that kilowatt hour. Well, I know that they charge 8 cents. So I'm going to go ahead and write that as a decimal. 0.08. And that's cents, so I'm going to do the dollar sign. And it costs that much for 1 kilowatt hour. I think I might have abbreviated that wrong, but this kilowatt hour cancels with this kilowatt hour. So now what we're left with is just money. Let's multiply out all the numbers. We have 900 times 12 times 0.08 all over 1,000. And that's going to be in money. So looking at this, is there a way we can simplify it before we go on? Yes, we could do that. We could say, well, this has 2 zeros, and down here has 2 zeros. So it's kind of like dividing by 100 on top and bottom to cancel those out. Then we do our multiplication facts. We do 9 times 12 is 108 times 0.08 divided by 10. So I'll come to the side, do 108 times 0.08. Okay. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 8 times 0 plus 6. And then 8 times 1 is 8. And we don't need to go to the next row because it's going to be all zeros. So from here we can just count. We have 1, 2 decimal places in our problem. So we need 1, 2 decimal places in our answer. So that's 864. Remember, we still have to do 8.64 divided by 10. Now I could write this out and do divided by 10, but if you think about divided by 10, I usually think about tithing. 1/10 of something is just the same as tithing. So what we do is just, the trick for that is just moving the decimal one place over. So the answer is 0.864, which, if we say that in money, we can round that to 86 cents. And that's how much we will be charged for using